20th meeting will now come to order. First item on the agenda is approval of the June 15th meeting.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve minutes from June 15th, 2023.
Second. And it has been motion and second that we approve the June 15 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes. The next item on the agenda,
You want to do
I'm sorry, roll call. All in favor?
Aye. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a comment.
Yes.
So in the minutes, it states, if you look at the bottom of the first page, the land development code review, it's second sentence, it says that Charles Rudd received an email from Tracy, correct? And if you'd like to see it, you can view it at City Hall. I would request that when something like this comes up, that this commission is copied on it.
Okay.
So when there's an email,
Mhm.
stating, okay,
Just so we're fully informed
right,
with any comments.
yes, you understand,
Thank you.
all right? Okay. All in
Madam
favor?
Chair, I think too for keeping a list of our comments, that we should probably have a list of, if it's not made at a public hearing, if it's emailed in. Our appendix for comments.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on our agenda tonight is to select a vice chair.
It's actually not on the agenda.
It's not on the, I'm sorry, it's not on the agenda, but it was added to the agenda. We need to select the vice chair.
For continuity, I can serve as vice chair for this as well, since I'm the vice chair for HPD. I'm okay with that. Anybody else?
I don't mind doing that either. But I'm okay with it. Yeah,
I can't make a motion on that.
I make a motion. But what are there any other recommendations?
I'm too new, so you
We are,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the
I
newest.
think, I may have BJ by maybe a month or so. So if it's not too overwhelming for you, if you want to chair both, I can do be the vice chair for this one. But
We can do that, yeah, it's fine.
All right.
So, I'll make a motion then that Kimetta Hardy is vice chair for planning and zoning.
I'll second it.
Okay, it has been moved, motion and, second that Ms. Kenyatta Hardy served as the Planning and Zoning Commission Vice Chair. Roll call.
BJ Lori,
Aye.
Kenyatta Hardy,
Aye.
Dan Dodge,
Aye.
Veronica Glover,
Yes. At this time, we will have public comments. Can you please come to the podium and state your name and your address, please?
Alice McCoy, 315 North Summit Street. I'm not sure exactly whether this would be under the planning part of the city or not, but I need to bring it to your attention. The old TD Bank building on the corner of Palmetto and Summit across the street from me has been for some time used by homeless people. It's been bothersome, but not frightening, but it's not good. And I don't know if under planning, as you go through the land ordinances and talk about things that need to be in it, I think it should be addressed in a humane and good way, so it's not, not nasty to people. But I think as a city, we need to address this. It's not going to get better unless something's done. But I think we need to be aware that it's there and check and see what other cities and other communities have done to prevent things from happening. That building is owned by somebody somewhere. I don't know who or where. I don't know if the police can come onto private property. I don't know anything about how all that works. I can tell you that there are fights at night. Last night, there was a fight behind there. I have a 3-year-old dog that's a wonderful watchdog. And of course, when people are outside yelling, she's barking. So it's, disturbing, but it is also frightening. Currently, I know that there is a man and a woman living there. They now have a dog that's never on a leash. So it's running around. It's probably gonna get killed before too long, so on the highway, but, they're not the only ones back there. There are vans that go in and out of there. I don't know if there's drugs. I don't know. But my neighbor next door, last night took her trash out to the front, and this man across the street started yelling at her. Well, it scared her to death, and she, ran back in her house and called me and asked me if I was okay. It's just not a nice living condition, and I just wanted to know if in our code enforcement or anything, we have any avenue or anything to deal with the homeless situation. I understand these people go and spend the day at Dollar General. Most everybody knows them. I mean, I guess I didn't know them, but I guess people know they're around. So I would ask if you all could address what might be done or what might be a way to deal with it to keep the safety in mind of the people that live in the areas. I'm sure, I know Dan said that when homeless people lived in the house across the street from him, when it was torn down, the problem went away. Well, I think I know where they went, but, so it's not, it's kind of affects all parts of our city is what I'm saying, and I would ask that you all address it. Thank you.
I think, I do know, I saw those people, today, and that the dog was on a leash today, but that's here nor there, but I would think that would be something that can be brought up even at the commission meeting, because we don't have a local police department, so we're policed by the sheriff's department. So, but they can, they're normally at the city meeting, so maybe that's something that they can be made aware of.
Right.
Patrol.
And have you,
I will do that. I just was curious in any of this land use thing that you're going over codes and things, at any point, does it address people, camping or living or squatting or whatever on property that isn't theirs? I just
Not
wondered.
just following the trespassing. You're right that the bank building is owned by a company in Colorado, it's RUIT, and that's, they have no plans at the moment to do anything with it. But they would be trespassing if so they're like living there behind banks?
So the sheriff
Yeah, sure.
could do something if the property is posted no trespassing.
and
So code enforcement could find out who the property owner is, contact them, ask them to post the property, and that will allow the sheriff's office.
It's a great place to camp, because it's got the awning out where the drive-through, things were, it's good.
My office was next door, so yeah, it was kind of like a little cove protected back there. People also used to rob the bank and run through our backyard, so that was always, but it's a nice little kind of background there. I would also encourage you, if they're out there fighting, if there's something that, a disturbing peace thing, you definitely need to call the sheriff's office. And,
We're just kind of afraid if they'll know who did that.
They have no recollection of who calls.
there's
The police
nothing,
department, the sheriff's department will not tell them to call.
they're not gonna say that.
Yeah, but I understand that they'll have an idea if, probably, I understand, like,
He gets up every morning and walks to the Lake Stella, I guess, to bathe. I don't know.
we're aware of who you're talking about. I need to, all of those things, bringing it to the attention of the commission. But a while back, we kind of was denying, that we had all the situation there.
It's been a long time.
And so it was people trying to help, but people, were saying denying. So I know I'm going to speak with, someone to see if there's some assistance, is something that can be done to assist them. But, other than that, as for your protection, and for you to be comfortable in your home at night, that needs to be simple, just contact the city manager as well. City hall, but that does need to be, addressed, by the sheriff department, call them, let them know. But
And like,
I do wanna contact this person that was trying to help the community, but we were saying that we did not have homeless people here, and we were seeing homeless people here, but
Wow.
people were saying we did not have
It's
them.
an increase.
And, yeah,
Someone asked me about that situation, even if they're on, I don't know if they're homeless or just hanging out, but that was something
but I think they're homeless.
brought to my attention as well.
Homeless is nationwide and it's getting worse.
Yeah.
So,
the-
and we didn't have that, in Crescent City.
Well, many communities,
Many
that's
communities.
true. So it certainly is a public safety and health issue. And the most immediate, action would be to post it and to notify the sheriff's department to supervise it. It's on the main thoroughfare, so, they're up and down there all the time.
I saw him.
But Veronica, hit on the most important point, is if they're removed from that property, they're simply gonna migrate to another property.
Yeah.
So, some sort of program to help place them, would be the best solution.
Yeah, I know two, people from the organization assisted with taking names and numbers when they were trying, so I'm going to contact them as well, just so I can contact, I know Ms. Lavelle and Dean, they were helping, trying to see, get the names when people were saying we did not have homeless people here. But I'm gonna see if they still have that contact information and what can they help us with. And in the meantime, still let the city know, that it's an issue, but we know who you're talking about. Yeah,
In
we
the,
are.
I've noticed, on my street, South Main, that in the spring and the fall, there's a migration of homeless people. And they come down South Main, because it's often the main drag. But there's definitely increased traffic. And it's, obviously, in the fall, it's, homeless from the north, wishing to come to Florida. And then they return for the summer in the north. Yeah. I lived in southeast Florida on A1A, and, it was a problem there the 25 years I was there.
Yeah, I would say in the last 4 years, because that was something that, that we used to talk about all the time, that we did not have homeless people in our community. And, so I know, like, since we got a lot of people moving into our city, that has increased a lot.
The other thing is some of the larger jurisdictions have passed ordinances that make it very difficult to panhandle. So, Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, so a lot of the Volusia County, and it's also happened up in Jacksonville. And so that tends to distribute the homeless to jurisdictions that are smaller and don't have the same kind of regulations. But those would be regulations that would be in the code of ordinances, not within the land development code.
Panhandling, I haven't really witnessed that here. by homeless people.
They come up to us, they come up to me.
Sometimes outside of Circle K or those kind of places.
Do they come up asking for money? Must be a neighborhood thing.
It's all I can say is, keep from saying, you're 50 years younger than me. I believe you could work, but I don't. I just,
No. well, you-
sometimes I give them money and sometimes I don't.
Mhm.
But yes, they're here. They do come up and ask
I
for
would just
money.
say definitely,
Yeah.
and when there's an incident like last night, I would definitely call the sheriff's office. Because even if they're not gonna respond, I mean, it's a public safety thing, you don't know how much that's gonna boil over into the neighborhood or something, they're gonna go down the street and have a fight or something. And like Captain Lister always says, he doesn't know if anything's going on if he doesn't get calls. And so I think that's why I always tell Rachel, I'm like, even if you hear something like weird outside, you see a suspicious car, call, because you never know what that's.
Are they permitted, are the police permitted to go over and drive through the back
Yeah.
of the TD Bank? Are they
Yeah.
permitted to?
They're supposed to monitor businesses in the evening, and they're supposed to check open doors and lights off and that kind of stuff, so they're supposed to patrol.
Even though it's an empty building?
Even though it's an empty building, especially empty buildings, because.
Exactly, especially
Especially empty
in
buildings, because someone breaks.
a commercial building.
Yeah,
And the two you're talking about, we can't forget, they are dealing with mental illness as well. They really are.
Yeah, or addictions.
Yeah,
Or
but,
both.
well, I mean, yeah,
Or
they
both,
both, so, yeah. But I'm gonna see if I'm gonna do that too, and then, all of it, we'll get an answer to some kind of way, hopefully, yeah. Okay.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Yes. Okay. Okay, our next item is our new business, our land development code review, Article 8 and Article 9.
Thank you, Ms. Monica, and congratulations on being Madam Chair
Thank you.
and Vice Chair. And welcome, Mr. Dodge, to the Planning and Zoning Board.
Thank you.
Good to have you. So we're gonna quickly, review, you might know your presentation almost by heart. If you don't remember Mark Corrat, this is the Director of Planning, for Zephyr and Associates. He has about 28 years of planning experience, and, is the one who kicked off, a land development code update for Crescent City. So, we're working towards updating your land development code regulations, and the processes, and this is to better align with Crescent City's, gentle community, to preserve your natural and cultural resources, which are very rich in this community, and so that we can leverage and distribute the benefits of development equitably. So as part of the land development code update, members of the planning and zoning, you all make your recommendations to the city commission, and your role as a land use authority is to review the purpose of the regulations that we propose, so that they are achieving local goals and objectives that are in the comprehensive plan, and to protect the assets, to facilitate the desired change that we want to see with the land development code. Next slide. So collectively, the team has over 80 years of experience. It's made up of urban planners, landscape architects, and civil engineer. And the primary goal of the team was to determine whether your prescribed regulations were in compliance with industry best standards, whether the topic was clearly formulated, and to decide if a suitable approach had been taken to address the development issues. I guess we would point to many there. So the team began by, I think we're on number 3.
Maybe on slide 3.
Slide 3. So the team began by performing an assessment of the current land development code to identify the deficiencies. There is a diagnostic report that identifies what the city commission and the planning and zoning board wanted reviewed. And so the review focused on the code's suitability to satisfy the city's development objectives, the consistency and enforceability and ease of use.
Can I interrupt you for a second? That diagnostic review, I know that I found it at the end of a commission packet several months ago. Is that something that can be distributed to all of us? Because
Yes.
I think that would really help. Because when I was reading through it, I'm like, oh, well, this makes sense. Now I know why we're doing this. And I just think that would kind of open our eyes a lot as to why we were doing some of the changes.
Be very helpful.
I didn't know that was the thing until you and I were talking about it and you had said, mentioned it, and then I happened across it at the end of one of the packets from the commission like 5 months ago, and I was like, oh, there we go. So,
Okay, yes, so, I also got a comment from, Mr. Dodge to check the footer for the numbers, so they're not showing up, so I'll make sure I get a copy of that diagnostic report as well. So the scope also included developing potential solutions relevant for the code update, such as the downtown core overlay, which was identified, as a priority in the diagnostic review, and performance standards. So next slide, please. So the land development code for Crescent City was developed in accordance with state statutes and following industry standards best practices so that we can encourage high quality development and to provide for a streamlined review in the processes. So I say this every meeting, good codes are the foundation, how communities become great and how they're built. They're the framework that regulates where and what type of development can occur. And when well done, codes make it easier for local government to actually implement their vision. Okay, so, now we can go to the next slide. This is, slide, well, now go to slide 12. Slide 12, this one.
sorry.
Slide 12.
Excuse me,
Slide 12.
slide 12. Okay,
Okay, so, we reviewed, zoning subdivision and site plan regulations, and the zoning code that establishes that's Article 3, where residential, commercial, and other land uses may be located, what type of permit is required for each use, and what standards apply to new uses and development. And so development within those districts must comply with the standards prescribed applicable to that district. That's your zoning ordinance. Article 6 is your site plan regulations. Next slide, if you want. And that involves compliance with your technical standards, developing clear procedures for reviewing and approving the site plan. And your site plan review assures that construction is designed and developed in a manner which assures adequate provisions are made for traffic safety, emergency access, water and sewer disposal, management of stormwater, erosion, protection of the environment, groundwater, habitats, historic resources, and minimizing adverse impacts on adjacent properties. That's what it said. So the subsections spelled out how much space should be reserved for off-street parking, for loading and unloading, parking standards, are typically provided in the table. And that was part of the diagnostic report, for the table updates. And it has a list of categories of your land use and a parking formula that's going to be applied to each. Okay, I'm sure we're on the subdivision regulation. Address the quality of development. Then subdivision is the first step in the process of community development. Land is divided into streets, lots, and blocks, and it's publicly recorded. And so subdivision of land sooner or later becomes public responsibility, and that roads and streets must be maintained and public services must be provided. So the community is affected in many important aspects with your subdivision regulations, so it's in the interest of the public, developers, and future owners that subdivisions be designed and developed in accordance with sound rules and proper minimum standards. Next slide, please. So why is this important? Well, zoning regulations are meant to control the use of property, and your subdivision regulations address the quality of redevelopment. The impacts, obviously, of subdivision regulations are more permanent than zoning. Zoning can be amended legislatively. And zoning does not take priority over subdivision process or vice versa. A lot of times they go on simultaneously on two tracks, and so you can do zoning approval and subdivision approval at the same time. So to be effective, subdivisions regulations must be integrated with your other local plans and policies and ordinances. And so we're making sure that zoning ordinances are consistent with your subdivision regulations. And they also need to be coordinated with your maps, which we have behind us, and with capital improvement plans and policies. So a solid community planning process helps to ensure all of your implementation tools are working consistently to achieve the community's objectives as outlined in the comprehensive plan. Guys are gonna be able to say this one by heart and stuff. Okay, so that brings us to, I think it's page 18, Mark. This is Article 8, concurrency.
Okay.
So what is concurrency? Well, specifically, concurrency regulations require that local governments have the capacity in stormwater, solid waste, water, sewer, and transportation to serve the proposed development. And together, these public services are known as concurrency facilities. And if concurrency is applied to other public facilities, if that's what the city wishes to do, the comprehensive plan must provide principles, guidelines, standards, and strategies, including adopted levels of service, in order to be able to guide that application. And technically, also the foundation for a legally viable concurrency system is also the implementation of a capital improvement plan for delivering essential public facilities. And so as you adopt some of your land development code, it is going to trigger other work like a capital improvement plan, as an example. So the concurrency is a set of land regulations that local governments are required by the Florida legislature to adopt to ensure that development does not outstrip the local government's ability to handle. And what happens if public facilities and services, what public facilities and services are subject to concurrency? I just mentioned sanitary sewer, solid waste, drainage, and potable water. Public facilities and services subject to the concurrency requirement on a statewide basis. And a local government can extend the requirement so that it applies to additional public facilities within the jurisdiction, but it does have to be in the comprehensive plan. And you do have to have a level of service attached to that. So is there any questions so far on concurrency?
Do we have anything else in our comprehensive plan? We don't have anything specifically additional?
No, like parks and things like that, I'm not sure if we do or not, but those would be, that would be.
Yeah, parks is a level of service, but I don't know if it's in there, concurrency.
Currently, well, when we get into chapter 8, we'll go through it. You do have a concurrency chapter, a current one, already, with levels of service in it.
So this plan kind of mirrors what we do for the county. I mean, you know, like, I don't know because I was trying to make concurrency make sense in my brain. So it's just basically like you were saying, and just considering all of the local government's infrastructure and their ability to handle
So
growth and development.
if a developer comes in and wants to do a subdivision, and he has to be able to demonstrate that he's not going to impact the level of service that you have for your roads and your water. And if he is going to impact it, then there has to be a way to, or mitigate it for it.
Like for water, that's a big thing. Like we have a lot of water capacity currently, unused capacity in the plant. But if someone comes in and uses all of that, then how does that, it's gonna impact the rest of us. And so that's why you have concurrency to make sure that first of all, there is enough water or wastewater capacity available. And then also that if they're gonna take it away and use it all up, that there's some sort of way that they.
Well, that's what I understood. As I went through it, I understood it as such, and then someone even mentioned, and I don't even know if this has anything to do with us, with us proposing to build new schools. They were saying that was an issue, that they were running into, that I don't know if they consider, the size and development of the new school and how it would impact with the water source. That was my.
And the amount of children, how it's gonna impact our schools, if there's capacity in your schools. That's correct. Laura, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, there is a process that's outlined in regards to the schools. There's an interlocal agreement between the town and the school board that creates a process by which when a new school gets proposed, you're supposed to look at the provision of facilities. And so that is all part of concurrency that's required by, that particular agreement is required by state law.
And we have not been, it has not been followed.
Well, you know, Putnam County has not built any schools in a long time, so it hasn't been an issue. So,
And I think
but,
it's
but,
really
but,
also kind of formatted for like the rest of the state, and we have a lot of money, we have a large amount of growth, we need to add additional schools, which is not happening in Putnam County.
yeah.
But I think it does apply to the current situation.
Well, I think it applies in the current situation because as you guys probably know better than me, they've recently received significant funding to create new schools and rehab existing schools. And so they're kind of learning to dust off some of these processes and start
Reluctant.
using them.
Can I also ask a question? I know we've been talking, or the city commissioners been talking about impact fees. And in a lot of ways, impact fees and the fair share agreement are similar, but they're not the same, correct?
Correct. They're not the same.
But you get credit for the impact fees if you do or there was one that I thought that was what I was reading, it kind of been, I mean, currently we have impact fees that they put in place in 2005. But there's a moratorium on them. They're considering putting them back in place, but we'd have to do another study before they do it as far as the city goes. So as of right now, we don't have any. So really, it doesn't really affect us. But in the case that they do put it back, that would have an effect.
That doesn't apply.
Right.
I mean, that's the problem, is the money to study, but the study's gonna cost $100,000.
So next slide, please. So in your concurrency, what information is required? So a concurrency application includes general information about the development and specific information needed to assess the impacts of a project on concurrency facilities. And what happens if a project comes in and it doesn't meet concurrency, the applicants have the option to either withdraw the project, scale back the project, or agree to implement conditions or to mitigate options that will make the project concurrent. And sometimes that's under development agreement. So, and your comprehensive plan must demonstrate the required optional concurrency requirements that the levels of service adopted can be reasonably met. And infrastructure needed to ensure that adopted level of service standards are achieved and maintained for the 5-year period. The capital improvement schedule must be identified. And that's pursuant to state law. So, for example, if your comprehensive plan wants to impose transportation concurrency, you have to amend your capital improvement elements of the comprehensive plan. I'm just kidding. It's going on. In the comprehensive plan. Okay, so we do have, I think there's one more on article.
Next slide is signage.
Yeah, signage. So signage is intended to promote the city's economic well-being, traffic safety with wayfinding, and visual environmental quality by governing the number, location, and other characteristics of signs. So it's the intent of this article to encourage the use of signs where they're compatible with surroundings and appropriate to the type of activity that it is. So we can now jump in to the actual concurrency, the real interesting one. Mouse now.
So this is why I didn't want to do concurrency last time. This is why I didn't want to do cameras last time. Here it is. Charles trying to explain it to us, I don't think it would work. No offense to him, but. You guys should put that down. I said, I know you guys looked at me like, why can't we take a stop? I was just. I don't know what I said. I know it wasn't just me.
So part of the presentation was to give you a little bit of the why before we just jump straight into all the text. So, does anybody have any, questions so far on concurrency that we can jump straight to the article from your table of contents? Okay. All right, so here's, definitions of, which include, fair share, level of service, capital improvements, and what public facilities are.
I have, no edits for definitions.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else?
All right.
And I have, I don't have any for 8.2 exceptions, through B.
My question was that number one, it says, vested concurrency pursuant to Article 9, Division 2 of this code, has not.
Okay, can you highlight Article 9, that's now signage.
So I was like, I didn't, should I read it into the sign?
Where is that?
That's on 8.2.
8.2, number 1.
That's on, that's it.
Thank you, Virginia.
Now, what are we doing again?
So that's our article, we're correcting Article 9.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not signage.
correct that reference.
What is it supposed to refer back to? Is it?
Whatever Article 9 is doing.
It'll refer to a section that deals with vested development. Vested development is basically development that's essentially already approved, right? And they're vested in their entitlement, so you're.
So what should be
Yeah.
included instead of Article 9, Division 2? Or you'll do that edit? next?
Yeah, we'll correct.
Thank you.
Okay, I do have it, so we'll make that correction. Okay.
And so, just to clarify, under exemptions, B, where it says it's de minimis development,
Mhm.
so, what determines if, the proposed development, has a low intensity to have the de minimis, that will be outlined?
Yes. Mhm. Yeah, because you have a level of service, and if the development isn't going to impact it, then.
Yeah, like building one house or something like that, that's a de minimis, that you can't see any real impact on the road or parks or something like that, so that's just, you don't have to worry about it. My next question is not on 8.4.
I have a comment on 8.2B2, the removal of trees. My recommendation is that it doesn't include heritage trees.
Yeah, the point here is that removal of trees it doesn't have an impact on facility. You're not gonna apply a concurrency test.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that a heritage tree should be taken down.
Right,
Okay.
that's already
But that
outlined.
but that's a whole different
Article,
subject.
that's Article 4.
So that's included, that definition is elsewhere.
Yeah,
Is that what you're telling me?
What they're saying is these are the things that's not going to
Right, right.
impact.
right. You're not gonna apply concurrency tests to any of these items.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
the
Thank you.
streets are
Yeah.
protected.
Thanks for that,
Yeah.
definition. Appreciate it.
And so heritage streets, just so you know, Mr. Driver, and Article 4 not protected.
What?
They're in Article 4.
They're in Article 4, they're not protected.
And they're all
Oh, great.
Or you were,
And we actually specify what they are, what makes them heritage street.
yeah, but
It's interesting.
Okay, next subsection, please. Here's your level of service standards for the public facilities. So this is what would be, the test for if it's impacting your level of service.
So I have a general question because throughout the text, it talks about sewage waste treatments. And then it says about water systems. Now, the city has its own waste system and water system. Don't we require others to join it, the building that, the development that?
If the mains are within, I think it's 300 feet, they have to connect to it. But there are places where we do not have that currently.
So they're beyond
They're
300
beyond
feet.
that, yes.
So,
And so there would be, like, the Family Dollar up the street here
sure,
actually has its own septic tank. Now, when they're putting in this new sewer line there up Oakwood, they would be required to tie into that when it's installed. But that currently, Triangle Realty or Citrus 21, there's 3 businesses right there are on septic tank. They have city water, but they have septic, because there's no main there.
so they'll
No, I
be
understand.
required.
They won't be, they can't stay grandfathered in?
If there's a sewer line or potable water line that is put in, I don't remember what the foot, but it's somewhere between 200 and 500 feet, then you are required to hook up to it.
that's pretty general
Yeah, that's
nationwide.
very,
Does that also apply to water systems?
yes.
Yeah, okay, great, okay,
And a lot of times people want to be hooked up to water.
sure.
And,
Simple
you know,
thoughts.
it's just,
Yeah.
there's a cost of switching over from a septic tank to sewer, but that's why they're putting in that line, and the people that are gonna build houses up there will just tie straight into the sewer line.
So if a development is beyond 300 feet throughout or along main lines, and they want to join, I assume that they pay for the,
The distance or
The
installing the
extension.
line.
yeah,
That's,
thank you.
that's standard usually. Or they can come to some sort of agreement with the city or a development contract to share costs, but most of the time, it's up to them. Paying for it.
So 8.3, no comment, but just a discussion. Any other questions? Okay, so Article 8.4, we just talked about, concurrency requirements, and, this is to maintain your adopted level of service, with the impacts. Your adopted level of service was one chapter up, on 8.2.
I have a question down under C, Parks and Recreation,
Okay,
and then it goes C3A, and it's another one of those articles, it refers to some other articles. That keep going down,
okay.
yeah, it's
all right.
3A.
So,
It says articles
yes,
7
Article
and-
7 is your subdivision, and Article 8 is your concurrency.
This is Article 7 and Article 12. XII.
Oh, that should be 8.
So that's an edit.
That's another, can you write that for me?
Under B, there's also
8.4, 3A, okay?
yeah, and then the next one down B, it says Article 7. I guess that would be correct, right? Open space and recreation, that goes to.
Yes, that's Article 7, that's in.
I just have to highlight it to make sure that we.
Yes. Mhm.
Agree with that.
Okay,
All right, and then we'll go to the same section. If you go down to the next page,
Okay,
under roads, number 2,
number 2, okay.
there's a pursuant to,
Oh, yeah.
where is that?
And if that-
Right in that number 2, it says pursuant to, where do you guys, requirements pursuant to? Why is it?
Yeah, on ours where it says XX.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
that's XXX, I guess that's when it's fixed. Cause I was just like, what?
What's it supposed to say?
Well,
Unfortunately, I
mine
can't
just-
read that in the same.
The city shall not allow new development that will have an LOS impact upon a backlog road chart, except for properties exempt from these requirements pursuant to.
Pursuant to what it was.
So ours says something totally different.
Different,
Yeah, it just says pursuant to.
XXX.
Okay, so
Unless-
that's pursuant to what was earlier, where we had an exception, whatever that was, earlier, I think it was. Somebody brought up under H2.
Okay, well,
So it's also with the exception of what's in this article under A2,
okay.
where we talked about exceptions.
So A2 should be there?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Pursuant to 82.
Okay, next section. Here's the review procedures, this,
I have a question on H5A. Of any development approval, city manager or. In this town, who would the or be?
or designate
Designate.
Yes, but who would that be, for example?
Our planners.
us.
That-
Oh, okay,
Yeah, we refer to that, and then you'll see it multiple times in the rest of the LECs. And we try to change it so that it doesn't say
Jack,
change.
did you know, in general, the way the land loan code is set up?
no need.
Okay.
I understand. Yes, I noticed that I have several questions on it. All right, easier.
There's a lot of times
Thank
that
you.
it says, or his designee, but we.
Sure.
take that out.
No, I understand.
Or designee.
Thank you.
We're used to saying so.
So in, further down in B, it says, midway, it says, quick determination by staff. Who would that staff be? Would it be you again? Okay, great. All right. Thank you.
Until further notice.
That gives me great comfort. I had nothing else on that
Okay,
page.
thank you.
I will go on down. There's potable water.
Mhm.
Keep going under C, number 2.
People,
Keep going down, yeah. Right there, potable water.
Yeah.
There's reference to the St. Johns River and Swanee River.
Should be just St.
Yeah, that
John's.
should just be St. John's.
Thank you.
Where was that, please?
That was,
Potable water.
on page 18, sorry.
On page 8?
It's 8,
Yeah,
2,
yeah, 2. Potable water.
2B.
Oh, 2B, thank you.
Yeah, there's no Swanee.
Should I say-
Yeah, oh, yes, Swanee River, sure, yes, yeah. Well, this is the way,
I was fixed.
thank you.
So one thing just to clarify, on going back to 8.5 concurrency management review procedures under C1, where it says, we talked about traffic impact,
Mhm.
and they either refer to the current edition of the Institute of Traffic Engineers or locally derived, or by qualified traffic engineers.
Mhm.
So is that something that we contract out, or is that something that we have for the
Yeah, you have it with,
the county?
Matt, our engineering. With your engineering.
An outside engineering firm?
Hmm?
It's an outside,
Yeah.
not a governmental.
No, it's an engineering firm.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification.
Next section, Mark, please. So here's options for achieving compliance. Some of this we talked about in the presentation, the procedures, for the application, and options for, reduce the impact of development, phase of development, and propose a plan, and then that allows lower geographic LOS standard.
Can we go back a little bit, I'm sorry. On page 10, it talks about the impact through 2025. Right, one second.
Would say, I don't have page numbers here, so.
Should tell you at the bottom of the corner screen.
What number?
It's under presumption, under 3, under the last section.
8.5?
3C, is that what you're referring to?
Yes, 3B and 3C.
Yes, yeah.
It's right before the certificate of concurrency reservation.
Under review procedure?
Yeah. Under presumptions. Yeah, under review procedures and then presumptions. So, yeah, go down, keep going down.
Review procedures.
On the next page, right there. See, B, it says based on the data provided by the city regarding adequate capacity tested for solid waste services through 2025. Shouldn't that be 2035? Isn't that what our comprehensive plan is for 2035?
Yeah, I think it's been updated.
Okay.
And then it's in the next one too.
So it's 2035, is the correction?
2035.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, BJ.
And then down number 5, if you go down to the bottom of the page. Oh, sorry. There's another article that mentions, for 5A. Like you got that in there,
Article 6,
Article
you should proceed to Article 6. Yes, that is your site plan. Final development, that's correct.
We just had Article X on our copy, so.
Article 6. So that is under certificate of concurrency reservation under A.
Okay, it should be Article what?
6.
Okay.
Your site, your plan regulations. Thank you. Next section.
Make it consistent.
I think that we haven't been using the Roman numerals, we just been referring to them.
Yes, and sometimes it seems like they were running.
When we do the final, we'll make sure it's all consistent.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I think it also helps, show the difference between the other and the other one. We always use the Roman numerals,
Yeah, true. Okay, next section, please. Okay, now here's your options for achieving compliance. This is what we talked about in our presentation. We could either reduce the impact,
One moment.
okay,
So if we, let me see where, if we go back to
we were on 8.5.
anyways, well, it's speaking about a letter of credit, which I understand the need for a letter of credit. My question is, in some situations, a financial institution will withdraw a commitment of credit.
Well, that's irrevocable.
So that's established for day one.
Yes.
So it cannot be withdrawn. Okay. Cash extra, I assume there's a calculation to establish that amount? Okay. Great, thank you. My next question is a general question. Who are our public works department?
The county.
The county? Oh, great, thank you. We have, great,
And our director is, Keith Harris.
Oh, I.
okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, we have our own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
public works, water and sewer, and parks and streets, right?
So you
Yeah,
think
and all the
It's
others,
Keith Harris, yes.
water, sewer,
Water, sewer,
Yeah.
streets, parks.
Wastewater.
oh, great. good to
So
know.
let me just go back, and I don't know if this needs to remain the same. So anytime where it says documentation from Crescent City, that's in reference to the Crescent City Public Works.
or your local service, you use a call. And, so we were on 8.6, and so this is the options, and so if a project isn't concurrent, they have the option to withdraw the project or scale it back or agree to implement or mitigate. To make it, concurrent.
I like that one of the options is just to change the comprehensive rating so that it's not, I was like, if it's not concurrent, we'll just change the concurrency requirements. Right. So, you can't beat that. I mean,
So scale back.
yeah, scale it back, or we'll just change what the rules are, sure.
Any questions on what happens if it's not concurrent? Okay, good. I did that. And this to the end.
That's not even like.
Monitoring, yes. So this is to you monitor it annually, during your budget review process. And you have to include your available capacity based on the level of service. And so, the findings are considered when you prepare and propose amendments to the capital improvement element and propose amendments to the city's annual budget. So,
So, under, 8.7, D2, it has a summary of building permit activity. I think it would be helpful if this committee were to get a report of these activities.
And where are you then?
Under, 8.7, to claim of, a summary of the building permits that expired without commencing, those that are active at the time of the report, those that represent outstanding building permits, and so on.
It keeps us informed, of course.
And that's something that would probably be much more,
an annual report.
Yeah.
And the state of the city.
Right.
Excuse me.
And it might as well include 3 and 4.
So basically, everything that we're going over today is, the person that oversees this is the city manager and you guys.
City manager, you do have a development review committee, so it has city manager, us, it has your engineer on it,
Yeah,
it has a public works director, has the fire department on it.
okay.
So, yeah, most of it, they have to understand what it means, what we do. On the next section here, after 8.1, there's one that just got like shoved in there, I don't know what happened. If you go down, there's one that says proportional fair share transportation.
Mhm.
If you go down a little bit more. That's the next page. I just thought it was, yeah, there was one that was, maybe it's.
OC,
It's an 8.8 proportional fair share.
Fair action.
I didn't know, it didn't look like that matched the numbering system.
Oh.
Because it was 8.8.2.
No.
Should I go back up then? Maybe if there was a back to the last page. Okay. Yeah. Okay, maybe I'm.
Just what's that
I know, it
section?
might go up just a little bit more before there. I see the 8.8 right there, that's on the end. And I thought that was another section. That's why I didn't understand, because that looks like that was with an A and B under there. And I wasn't quite sure.
No, 8.8.1 is 8.8.2.
Well, but the next one's 8.8.2. That's why I was confused.
But that's,
So I didn't know that was,
well, that's, I don't understand what's wrong.
I don't need it, that's why I thought it was.
What you're thinking,
Okay,
Yeah,
So there's 8.8.1.
8.1, development exemptions.
Yeah. All right.
we'll highlight.
Oh, 8. Oh, I see.
Yeah, I see that.
Portion of fair share, that should be 8.8.2. Gotcha.
8.8.2,
That should be
Yeah.
8.8.2.
Right, so I'm just gonna, at this point, highlight it for correction.
And that should be 3. Portion of fair share.
Sorry.
No, that's good. Thank you.
Where is,
It was on,
okay,
it was kind of attached to the bottom, like the sentence there, so that's what I was trying to figure out.
So the 8.8.2,
So I'll just do leave on down the ones.
should be 8.8.3, and then there's,
where is 8.8?
8.8.2, if you go up a little bit more.
Is it,
Should be that one right there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have a header, it says proportion.
it's correct on our page.
No, it's not, it's not the name of the sentence.
8.8, okay, I see where.
so, right here's.
Yeah, it was right, you see where it's right there at the end of the sentence there, right above the end. And it's hard, it kind of stuck in there.
This gonna be 8.2, and what he's at, that's gonna be 8.3, right?
Yes.
Correct.
And then-
See,
what
this
page
is,
is it on?
That's on page 17.
this is gonna be.
Oh, thank you.
These two, it's gonna move to 3.
Yeah.
Proportion
They
fair.
all was down and revised. So,
So that's 1. 2 is not in there.
Oh, right here, fair share.
yeah, transportation. There's the-
2.
Are you with us, Darren?
Yes, thank you.
You got it?
Yeah.
Under 8.8.3, which will be 8.4,
Mm-hmm.
procedures, it refers to the impact of facilities on the SIS. Talking about transportation, would that be the same?
Capital improvement.
The SIS was referring, I thought it looked like it was talking about the FDOT would be notified. Wouldn't that be the SHS, the state highway system? Sorry, that's not 8.8.3.
8.8.3,
Or is that, well, the actual, the 8.8.4 now? So keep going down. It's under the,
are you, okay, so we're down to,
yeah, procedures, yeah. See, under B, it says that the impact of facilities on the SIS, then the FDOT will be notified. Is that, shouldn't that be SHS, the state highway system, is what the FDOT refers to? Like Highway 17 is part of the state highway system.
yeah,
I didn't know what SIS was. Sorry, it's the newspaper part of me. I think it's just SHS, right?
Yeah, it will.
Yeah, thank you.
Big old FDOT note here. Because it would matter if it's like Highway 15 out here, Highway 17. US Highway 17, State Highway 15. Because we can't change the street out here, you know, without their permission. And it's referred to a few times in there, I think if you just,
We're searching now.
yeah, just find a place. I tried to find them online, it's just too late.
Thank you. So on E, there's another one. Section please. Sorry. I might have been autocorrect or something.
Yeah, something up, yeah, I was confirmed. And there's,
There's a formula for this, Any questions on determining the fair share obligation?
I would just point out that there's two, fair share is some places abbreviated and some places it's not.
Okay.
I changed it to not. Just be consistent now, because the first half has it, and the second half doesn't.
So proportionate fair share agreements is now 8.86.
Yes, all those went down.
Yeah.
The last one is for government information, at 3.8.
So we got 8 of them, right?
Yeah. 8.8. It's a verse. Yeah, no, I don't agree with you.
Thank you, Martha.
Okay.
We all did great on this one.
You're a great assistant, man.
Peter will be like
Well,
you
it
this.
was corrected and, by the time it goes to the city commission, it has those corrections.
And this may be a crazy question, but you know, normally when I read, like I said, I'm new to this, so I'll try to, kind of research. So when I pulled up some of the terminology, I came up with the Putnam County concurrency plan. So that's why I asked, is this throughout the county, because it mirrored?
Yeah,
Yes.
they're all pretty similar.
Okay.
Yeah, because they have the same rules and they're not in there.
It's a requirement, statewide.
That, yeah, I'm about to say.
And that's what I was saying, I thought this is pretty standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Most comprehensive plans all started out as one, and everyone copied, you know, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
That
to
made it
meet
easier
the
to
full
understand.
planning
And I thought, oh, this is
or
pretty
planning.
standard across the board.
It's-
And that's so that you don't outgrow your capacity in your infrastructure.
Right. That's how I shortened it, to make it stick in my brain. When you talk about growth management, I'm sure you're able to handle development as well.
Okay, so, we, completed, congratulations, concurrency, Article 8, and that was so exciting. You know, how we should celebrate.
On tonight.
So on
No, we're
to,
down.
You act like you wanna go home.
No, I just, that's
no,
not
just
it.
gone.
That's not it.
So is
I
this
promise you,
signed,
I
the
promise
updated
you.
one? Okay.
It's just, there's a sense of accomplishment every time, you know what I mean? I don't, but I was always taught to slowly say, hey.
Yeah.
It's like, hey.
So Mark asked a good question, and this was the updated sign ordinance, and as far as I can tell, this is the updated sign ordinance. And
Oh, on the,
I
on 9?
did, mhm. And then there was a staff report that was provided to the P and Z, for giving me recommendations, so I did add those definitions that were outlined in that staff report to the definitions in these articles. And, actually, I did not because I got this.
This is the one you sent to me this afternoon, this 9, the one you sent me this
Yeah,
afternoon.
but so is this the correct 9?
Okay, so my thumb drive was corrupt, so I had to get Article 8 and 9 from you. So there's some definitions that are missing from this. An A-frame, a feather, sign,
They have that.
neighborhood sign, oh, they do have that.
So-
They have the
We have
correct.
They have it, I do not here.
Okay,
Is that
They
correct?
have the correct 9. The
And
one-
there's a summary page.
Right, the
Correct.
letter,
yes,
So,
and
So the edits are, the updates are on the summary page, correct?
those are,
those edits have been included in your updated in your article now.
Well, the reason I asked, my notes are on the old one,
Mhm.
so if I have this compared with the old one,
Yes,
it's easier for me to follow.
yes.
They actually have both. So whichever one, as far as the definitions go, they have the new ones in front of them as well.
Okay, whichever one has definitions, starting with A.
Is the one you'll be going over.
I have, definitions A-frame,
Okay,
that's why I have, but that's the .com, yeah. If you need that, I can email it to you or files.
I thought I put it on that thumb drive, but I think I had to rename it.
Oh, I think, it was- yeah, it was like article line signs,
You wanna-
something.
You want me to see?
if it's on that thumb drive,
It should be on that thumb drive because I don't have it in my folders. I had to go back into the email and download it. Because I sent it.
So,
I think I just put it, yeah, if you just open that up.
I live for this stuff. This is what I do in my spare time.
I have a question, who issues sign permits? The county or the city?
City.
City? And who, the commission or who will?
Listen,
Oh, the city, correct.
and then if it's something that's larger, like monument signs that have to be, you have to get building,
A-frames, we're good.
permit for, so that would.
No,
Go through here
okay,
and
so
then there's up
go
to
back
the
to your thing, because
So
I think
that-
I
oh, I
renamed
see.
it, because we had a
Yeah.
problem
It's like
with
the
it,
sign, like-
remember?
The sign is South State Bank, that is more than just a, a standard sign, because you have electrical and you have
Oh, sure.
all that stuff.
This is today's date, unit 9-1.
Load and all this
Yeah,
stuff.
that's it.
So it's much more intense process. And so that would go through the building department.
I renamed it completely, so that
I think
way.
it still starts here and then it goes down.
There we go.
Oh, yes, thank
Okay,
You're welcome, I had to rename it, so that's.
yeah. Thank you.
I didn't wanna override it, so I
Okay.
renamed it, so it's unit 1 instead of article 1.
oh, okay.
I mean, unit 9 instead of article 9, so
Okay,
you know now.
yeah, thank you. Okay, so if you look at that summary, from from the staff report, we included those, definitions in Article 9. So that includes the apron sign and, neighborhood sign, I think. I can't remember the other new ones.
The electric messaging sign, center sign, feather sign, on-premise sign, neighborhood entry sign, and special events occasion, or special events for everything.
So any questions on definitions?
On apron,
I know,
I guess my only question is, this defines an area. What about if a church that's outside of the area wants an A-frame sign? Is that allowed?
We'd have to look at, the districts, and what's allowed in the zoning district.
so if they're, yeah, if they're in public facilities, which is what most of the churches are, like PF1, if it's allowed in there.
So I'll have to look in where churches are permitted, and then if what kind of signage is permitted.
So if a church is permitted to have such a
It
sign, it doesn't matter where the location is within the city.
Right, it's the zoning district that the church is in.
So,
It's up to the zoning district that they're in.
Commercial zoning district?
Or whichever district it's in, if it allows signs, which one.
oh, I see, okay. Thank you.
Originally, the code prohibited A-frame signs. So these were added in specifically to allow it
Thank goodness.
in the development, in the downtown and redevelopment areas.
Yeah, but.
Well, that was my point, where a church may want to put one out for a special event. It's not in the downtown area.
They're allowed to,
Great.
And we have,
as long as they, according to the code, as long as they, pick it up and bring it back in after the. And I think according to the ordinance, if I'm not mistaken, that they're allowed to keep it out there a couple of days before.
Oh,
The,
okay. Right.
as long as it's removable, they can't like leave a
It's-
solid sign,
Yeah, it's not a permanent.
not there, as long as it's not permanent.
Right.
If you want, I can send you, on Monday, because I'm not here tomorrow, if you want, I can send you the ordinance on that.
Well, that'd be nice.
what we
At
have.
your convenience.
I have-
I think I should edit that definition because
Yeah, or Tuesday,
it includes all.
whatever works.
In our city, we've had a long tradition or controversy, I guess, around the signs. And I can just tell you from personal experience, it started in 2005. We spent months and months when I was on the commission discussing our first sign ordinance. And that went back and forth, and after we passed it, then they decided to change some of the parts of it. It was originally just in the code ordinances, then they took it out of the code ordinances and incorporated it into the LDCs. And now since then, they've also amended it 3 times. I found in 2015, in 2006, and 2011, they changed it.
Right, and because of that controversy, this is largely, a lot of sections of this update, we rewrote things kind of wholesale. This particular section, we basically left it the way it is, but for the recent amendments. Because it's sort of like
Going back and forth.
drilling below the water line,
Yeah. It goes back and forth all the time. Because the one thing in 2015,
Neon signs and
Yeah.
this.
I know in 2015, the reason they changed it was for the time period allowed for election signs. And now, this current version we have here says that you can only have election signs up for 30 days. In 2015, they changed that to 50 days, and as someone that's running for public office, 30 days is not enough time. And I know that we discussed that, I think they discussed that last year as well, so.
So I think this is the current code.
I mean, I'm reading right here from the ordinance 1503 from 2015, and it says that they are put in place no earlier than 50 days prior to the election or referendum to which they pertain.
Okay, yeah, in the version that we had, which we took from the codified version, that's what it has, so somehow
That's
that was,
the problem, is that nothing's been codified
yeah,
on a regular basis. And so you're
Yeah.
looking back through all the ordinances, over the last 5 years, there's stuff that they've passed more than one time.
Yeah.
Because they didn't realize that it was already codified.
Yeah.
Or it was already passed, and no one realized we've been working on LDCs that were on the website that were codified and passed in 2005. And has been updated and changed multiple times.
Yeah.
But no one has cared to update the website.
Well, is this the latest? I mean, I'm thinking that this is the
Well,
latest.
I mean, these changes in 2015 are different. And that being the big one that I saw, being the
Okay,
50 days, which I mean, to me, makes more sense anyway. I mean, I can send it to you if you want to have a copy of this.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, we need it.
Yeah, like of the eighth.
Is it and it's a certified, it's a signed copy of the ordinance?
So I sent you a copy.
Okay, good.
well, that's
They
what
can
I'm-
only have the feather signs for so many things now, like new businesses, so, yeah, I remember, yeah.
So then I'm gonna need just a little bit of time to audit what we did compared to because I thought that's the one we were working on.
They didn't
With
want
the exception
any
of,
of the,
So are there a number of other issues that are not in?
I mean, just from reading it today, I just
Okay.
realized that the 50 days was different. I think a lot of the rest of it's the same. I don't know why they only changed the section, well, it's a different section, remember, the standards. It says that these following signs are permitted in all zoning districts unless not allowed, to other versions of this chapter. And it just says, signs not visible from the street, signs within enclosed structures. I mean, so it's all the same except for the time period. In fact, that's the name of the ordinance is, an ordinance in the city of Crescent City, Florida, amending section 6.7.3 of the land development code, specifically amending the time frame for the placement of political campaign signs providing for an effective date.
So I guess the question is, should we allow more time for further edits? And address this later?
Because there are two other ordinances.
so can you forward me the latest codified sign one, please?
I mean, these are just the ordinances that modify the sign ordinance, but
So again, should we delay this review?
I think we have to, because what we're looking at right now
Okay.
is not just current ordinance.
Sure.
Sorry, not to blow anyone's head,
So
but.
if you send me that, then I'll make some amendments and resend it so we can address
I
it
mean,
at our next meeting. And, I mean, it's,
not that any of these ordinances or any of these amendments are great, because there's all kinds of things that are wrong in all of them. I mean, but they do change and then change, It's unfortunate, just one of the things that not having the ordinances codified since 2005 up to now. I mean, there's stuff that they passed last year, twice, two different things, having to do with RVs and changing the RV, the requirements for what the length of the RV was, and that was allowing the front yard. Then 2 months later, they changed it, saying that, well, you can't live in one, but then they changed it back and said you could live in one if you have a zone, a permit. So like, it keeps going, and, it's just not having codification, which.
So I guess our business is done for today.
so,
It's up to you guys, but it sounds like it.
Sounds like it.
because like you said, I remember we spent in 15, it
Right.
went 15
Yeah.
hours because we went to the A-frame signs and you just had to make sure you took them in every night. They, disagreed with the feather signs. If you were just opening a business, you could only have it out so many days. And then you didn't have like the Subway redid and, was trying to, get this, they had remodeled in there and changed their, catchphrase and all of that. They had 3 signs out there and everybody that was, or 2 people that was on here, made a fuss about it. They wanted that you could only, it was limited, you could only have it out there so long, and I'm like, how are people supposed to advertise their business?
There's,
And
there's a lot.
they didn't want the neon signs,
Alright.
flashing, and, yeah,
So we need to get the most current.
We're going to have current audit.
There's a huge loss of institutional knowledge, having
And that-
university managers over the last 5 years, having
yeah, I remember.
3, 4 different ones.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's, unless someone sits down and starts reading through all the ordinances, like some loser like me does, you're not gonna see all this stuff. I mean, Karen gave me the flash drive. Karen gave me the flash drive, it's her fault. I was up till 3 AM looking at stuff.
So BJ will forward
You
me
paid for
the,
that flash drive.
I love that flash drive.
so I'll get the latest cost on it.
I'll send you.
And hopefully, Ms. Monica, if you remember what happened then too, so when we go over it, that it is aligned with,
Because I think there might have
what
been
your goals
since
are.
2015, I swear they did one last year, the year before, but I'll search there.
Cause all the big signs, I remember, you know, all the big signs, they passed one of them, torn down all of them that was in the city, when they went out, they went out.
I think 32 square feet is kind of large for, I mean, I guess that's both sides of it, right? And it says the square footage would be both sides of the sign, but even then, for 32 square feet total for a political sign is huge.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just.
50 is probably too small for Winn-Dixie, but 32 is gigantic political sign.
Yeah, I mean, it's- I feel like I put a little signs, but not things like that.
Well, thank you, again, for your effort, your time, appreciate it very much, and so we'll, reconvene next month, August 17th, I think is, the day of our next
Yes.
meeting, and
And you'll send this, or you can send to Karen, that technical report, or
yes, I'll send
the
the diagnostic
diagnostic
report, to Karen, so Karen can then,
Excuse me, Mark. Could you put that back up? I need to, I'm gonna sit over there because I can't read it at this angle,
oh,
and I may not be able to read it over
I just want to try.
there.
She's like, you can't.
I can see it, but that's. I also-
BJ has like 20/15 vision, so he's the only person.
What you need?
Oh, yeah, that's much better. Thank you, Mark.
you wanna move over here?
Yeah, that's.
Yes, sorry, Kim, I'm gonna give up being your
He
neighbor.
he just wanna sit over there.
Next to Ron.
You don't need my turn.
I can't see. I can't read it.
When I get home.
Hey, I don't want
to.
Okay, well,
So we do have some articles to catch up on. We're still pending the architectural, standards, which I understand were written, just not codified. So I'd like to be able to get my hands on the latest, of your standards, your architectural standards.
I can work on
And that, so we can finish article, 4. And, you're gonna see, Article 10, which is waterways, and that was in the original scope that it came out of Unicode, when I sat with Unicode, attorney and the audit, and so some things when we got ordinances, then we need to be done into common code. So we're gonna, and Crescent City has jurisdiction over the waterway. So you're gonna still get that article, we'll get Article 9, and then, we have to circle back to Article 3 for zoning to make sure that the parking incentives and things that we address for redevelopment, are,
Yeah, just not sure. I haven't done that one.
which one?
I have it on my PDF, I did, but I don't want to talk
Okay.
about.
So, any questions?
I think we did great,
No, thank you.
everyone. Good job.
Thank you very much.
Yes, yeah,
So we'll see you August
went very
17th.
smoothly.
And in the meantime, you'll get the diagnostic.
do we need to make a,
I moved that we adjourn.
do we need to make a motion that, Dan can move down here?
No, I think we did.
Dan,
You can switch it up. Maybe we'll do a rotation. Keeping running in the minute. I'll second the motion, by the way.
The planning and zoning meeting is adjourned.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure, everyone.
Yes.
Yes.
You're broken in, you're right.